Our next speaker is Kristian Hanelt. He's a Bay Area native and an avid sailor, as you can see from the picture. He likes to sail large boats, it seems. He has an MBA from Stanford, and he's raised over $1 billion for residential solar, and he's raised nearly $800 million for Ultra Capital, which invests in sustainable projects, converting waste streams to create value. Tonight he's going to tell you about a very interesting project in North Dakota that will replace the need to grow corn to make ethanol.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so exactly, I'm going to talk about a project that we built or are building in North Dakota to produce ethanol. So as Diane mentioned earlier, transportation is lag behind power in terms of overall carbon reduction and meeting the goals that we have outlined for ourselves. And we're all ambitious and bullish about electric vehicles taking over, but the time to have an impact is going to be a while. I think we're looking at 20% penetration by 2030. So we're going to be using liquid fuels for some time. So we need to make those cleaner. Now, ethanol, very low technology risk. It's essentially like making vodka. If there's any USC alumni in the room, it's basically exactly identical to alcohol. And so, we like ethanol. It's very, very easy to make. For those of you that are my age or older, you might remember MTBE. It's a fuel additive. You need this or ethanol for octane. It makes the engine knock not happen in your engine. So, you need to have an additive on top of petroleum to make the fuel cleaner. Ethanol took MTBE's place because it's cleaner. It was mandated through the Renewable Fuel Standard in the Bush administration, and it's been approaching 10% of our overall fuel mix, and it's going to continue climbing to probably 15%. If you look at ethanol's penetration in the fuel mixture, you see typically E10 and E15 in the United States. You start to see E85 for flex fuel vehicles, and here in Brazil, they run 100% ethanol in special vehicles. Ethanol in the U.S. is from corn, and if you look at where corn is grown, it's in the upper Midwest. Very purpose-grown crop for the most part. We obviously use corn for a number of things, sweeteners, eating corn as well. But 38% of the corn grows in the United States is used for ethanol production. That's 1,000 pounds per person per year in the United States goes towards ethanol as just corn grown. So it's a tremendous part of the corn industry, and there's obviously been a lot of publicity about the corn lobby. If you look at the corn ethanol business, it's a tough business. It exists in this spread between the cost of buying corn and the cost of selling ethanol. And it's a very tight spread, very low margins, very tough business, which is why subsidies is so important. If you look at where you can get ethanol from, I'm focusing on the top part of this. Brazil makes a lot of ethanol, a big producer, from sugar cane. Another easy source to make it from is sugar beets. And so if you look at sugar beets is grown also in the upper Midwest and in cold climates where they can produce sugar by leaving the sugar beets outside in the cold to preserve until the spring, and they can process them over the wintertime. Sugar beets, when you make sugar from them, there's a lot of bio-waste. So the leaves, the pulp, essentially you have a tremendous amount of bio-waste, which is either land applied and left to rot in the fields or fed to cattle. And so it's very wasteful. In Europe, what we found out is they make a lot of ethanol from both sugar beets as well as potato waste, and it's a major source of ethanol in Europe. Also nearly identical to how they make Polish vodka and things like that. So we started building a project in Grand Forks, North Dakota. This is the Red River Biorefinery. This is 1 year ago. Ground is always frozen there. Whenever I look at the construction cameras, always snow on the ground. If you look at it today, this is it. Last week, it's actually it's starting to take commercial production. It's starting to take its first loads of sugar beets right now to start commissioning the project. We're very excited about this project and going. It's been an exciting one. Here's a look at sort of what the profitability is of corn ethanol. So you spend all your money on corn, you get some of it on ethanol, tiny little margin. Like I said, it's a tough business. What we like about our source of feedstock is because it's sugar beet waste from sugar processing, our cost of feedstock is essentially zero, margins much higher. We also have a very low carbon footprint from the cost of the transportation fuel that we produce, which means the state of California provides a handsome incentive for that. And then just looking at the project in general, $100 million project, over 500,000 tons of agricultural waste get processed through this when it reaches its target capacity of 16 million gallons, 25 full-time employees. So why do we like this project? Well, it's a great investment for one thing. It's a great investment partially because it's got a very good carbon footprint in terms of lowering the carbon intensity of the transportation fuel mix, and it's a very established technology. One of the good news is, this project's only about 1% of the sugar beet waste in the country in terms of, you look at all the sugar beet volume, what's going on, we are taking essentially 1% of the waste coming from sugar processing in the country. Thank you very much.